For many of us, the most curious aspects of the Mahabharata are the birth stories of Dhritarashtra and Pandu, and of course the stories of the Pandavas. All of them were born through a hired father under a peculiar arrangement called the Niyoga. In this video, we shall try and understand more about the strange custom of Niyoga, its whats, whys and hows. But before that, a quick recap of the story so far. Hello friends, welcome to the fabulous world of stories and why we tell them from Kulture Katha. In my previous video, we saw how Bhishma gave up his right to the Hastinapur throne and also took the vow of eternal brahmacharya to satisfy his father's desire to remarry. We also saw Shantanu's sons die childless and how Vedavyasa, the son of Satyavati born to her before her marriage to King Shantanu, was brought in to produce heir for the vacant Kuru throne. Sage Vedavyasa was thus asked to father children on Satyavati's widowed daughters-in-law Ambika and Ambalika. This arrangement was called Niyoga. The word Niyoga means appointed, commissioned or employed. The practice of Niyoga actually had its beginnings in a system of marriage called the Levirate marriage. In a Levirate marriage, a woman who had lost her husband continued to remain in her husband's family by marrying his younger brother. Levirate marriages were common across ancient world cultures, especially among the Jews. In India, we find the earliest references to Levirate marriages in the Rig Veda. The Rig Veda talks of a ritual where, on the death of a husband, his widowed wife is made to lie down next to him on the funeral pyre. Then her dead husband's brother comes, holds out his hand to her, asking her to rise from the pyre, leave the dead man behind, and go with him. So, this was a custom that had its roots in the Vedic period. But don't dismiss this idea as ancient and archaic, because in India, such marriages happen even today, especially in certain Jat communities from the states of Punjab and Haryana. There, this practice is called Kareva or Chadar. If you are interested in knowing more about Chadar, you can check out this Hindi movie titled Ek Chadar Maili Si, which is based on this theme. The movie is available on YouTube and I have shared the link to the video in the description box below. But why did this custom exist? Where was the need for something like this? In ancient societies where women were dependent on men for their sustenance, Levirate marriages ensured that a widow and her children were taken care of, even after the death of her husband. The Levirate was typically followed in patriarchal societies that wanted to keep their women within the family fold and stop them from remarrying outside their families. Levirate marriages also made sure that land and other properties of the dead man that passed on to his widow remained within the family. In many societies, however, Levirate marriages were performed when a man died childless. The idea was to further his family line. And dying childless meant that the dead man could never attain the heavens in ancient Vedic thought. Ancient Vedic man also believed that his dead ancestors in heaven were reborn as children in the same family. So, not having children meant that his ancestors could not come back to earth again. So, being childless, particularly sonless, was not exactly a great place to be in those times. And that was exactly what happened in the Mahabharata story too. When Vichitravirya died childless and Hastinapur was rendered kingless, Satyavati, in keeping with the ancient custom of Levirate, approached Bhishma to accept his half-brother's widowed wives. But Bhishma, who had taken the vow of eternal celibacy, refused. Instead, he suggested that Satyavati take the help of some respectable Brahmins to father children on the widows. Now, marrying the brother of the dead husband is one thing, but involving some unknown men in this task was an entirely different thing. The idea suggested by Bhishma was certainly not a Levirate custom, but that didn't mean it was without precedence. To Satyavati, who was curious about the suggestion, Bhishma went on to tell the story of Parashurama. Now, Parashurama was the son of a sage named Jamadagni, who was brutally murdered by a king named Kartavirya Arjuna. In order to avenge his father's death, Parashurama decided to rid the earth of all the wicked Kshatriyas, including Kartavirya Arjuna. It is said that, enraged by the atrocities of the cruel but powerful Kshatriyas, Parashurama destroyed the warrior class 21 times over. As a result, there were no Kshatriya men left on earth to perpetuate their clan. It was under these circumstances that the widowed Kshatriya women, in order to repopulate their clan, united with Brahmins to father children on them. These children, although fathered by Brahmins, were considered the sons and daughters of the dead Kshatriya fathers. And that was how the Kshatriya women brought back the warrior clans with the help of Brahmins. Narrating the story of Parashurama and quoting other similar precedents from the past, Bhishma made a case for Niyoga to produce progeny for the Kuru clan. Convinced by Bhishma's story, Satyavati decided to take the help of Vedavyasa, her son from her previous relationship with sage Parashara. In a sense, Vedavyasa satisfied both criteria. He was both half-brother of Vichitravirya and also a Brahmin. But why was a Brahmin preferred for Niyoga? Of course, Brahmin men were preferred as they were clearly above the Kshatriyas in the social hierarchy. Besides that, the seed of a Brahmin was considered potent because of the severe austerities he followed in his daily life. That's why Vedavyasa, the ascetic, who was said to have conquered his senses, made for an excellent choice for the task at hand. His seed was considered extremely powerful and was thus likely to create excellent progeny. But isn't it ironical that a man who was believed to have conquered his passion was expected to indulge in an act of sex and produce progeny? Now, that's where the process of Niyoga comes in. The first important rule of Niyoga was that the sexual union had to be performed not for pleasure but like an act of ritual to produce sons. So, the partners were expected to actually appear unattractive to each other, and they were to engage in the act only till the first signs of pregnancy was noted in the woman. Thereafter, they would never come together ever again. So clearly, Niyoga was considered only a sacred act to fulfill the social need to have children. In our story too, Vyasa approaches the women looking very ugly with red matted hair and a dirty, smelly body. He states that Ambika and Ambalika would either have to keep strict vows for a whole year before uniting with him, or accept him as he was, ugly and smelly. As the need to fill the empty Kuru throne was urgent, Satyavati chose the second option. And we know what happened thereafter. Friends, stay with me on this epic journey as we explore the evolution of the custom of Niyoga through the epic and the rights of the children born through such a contract in my next video. Till then, it's Tara, bye-bye. Take care.
Ah ah